it was almost all great. And then they had to do that one little thing. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Ben. I like talking about the entertainment industry and things in the entertainment industry that fascinate me. I work in the entertainment industry. I have for a few years, worked at a lot of big studios. So if you're here, welcome. If you like what I say, like, comment, subscribe. I put out a new video every week or so. I recently passed 100. That's pretty cool. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I really appreciate that you guys are here. It's really cool. Anyways, let's get to the video. Alien Romulus came out about a month ago now, and they did a few things that I really enjoyed about it, that I really enjoyed, not just about the film, but like the making of the film, the release of the film, the marketing of the film, and some things that I didn't like about it. And I think that these are all things that studios can really learn from. So let's break it down. So first off, the theatrical release. Alien Romulus made over $300 million worldwide. That is amazing and is the second highest grossing for the franchise. And this wasn't always supposed to be the plan. It was supposed to go to streaming, and it's fascinating that they went theatrical and they're having this much success. It is great. So the original plan for this movie was it was supposed to go to Hulu, straight to streaming, no theatrical release, just like Prey did in 2022. And boy, am I glad they didn't do that. I'm sure they're glad they didn't do that. They got heavily rewarded for it. Audiences came out for it. And it's crazy to think that this movie was supposed to go to streaming and it's had such a big theatrical success. If you know me, if you've seen my stuff, you know I'm very passionate about the theatrical release. I love theatrical releases. I love the movie theater experience. So this just warms my heart. I'm really glad people came out for it. I'm really glad the studio is hopefully going to see that theatrical releases can still be very, very, very lucrative. For me, I just love when movies go theatrical, but I also think they stay relevant in culture a lot longer. I feel like streaming movies just kind of come and go. You forget about them, you watch them one week, and then you immediately just pivot to something else. I feel like not many people talk about streaming movies as much as they do theatrical movies. I don't know, like, have you guys ever watched a Netflix movie more than once? I can maybe name 5. Like, I don't see people going to repeat viewings of streaming movies like they do theatrical. Maybe it's just my small little bubble, but I think people talk about movies a lot more when they go theatrical just in general. Like, the most simple one-for-one comparison for this movie is obviously Prey, you know, came out in 2022, big IP, horror, action fans love it. I genuinely forgot that movie came out, and I really enjoyed that movie when it came out. I loved it. I loved hearing about it. I loved seeing all like the posts about it, but I feel like that all died off in about a week or two, and I hadn't seen anyone post anything or like talk about it ever since until this movie came out. Where Alien Romulus, I feel like people are still talking about it. I feel like it's still making relevant headlines. I think it's still like doing better. Word of mouth is catching on. And like, we're only in the beginning stages still, right? Like, it's only been like a little over a month, so maybe this is not right. Maybe it will die off. But I hope studios really start looking at their films now and really start thinking about which one should go theatrical and which one should go streaming, and just overall refining their entire strategy. I sort of understand why, you know, Prey went to streaming and why this one was supposed to go to streaming. If you look at the past, The Predator didn't do that well. Alien Covenant didn't do that well. It bombed pretty big at the box office. So I get the reaction to want to go to streaming and not risk another theatrical bomb. But it's crazy to me that in this like high IP, everything has to be IP, that Alien and Predator were not guaranteed a theatrical release. That's just wild to me. So I hope every studio really starts looking at their streaming and theatrical strategy after this. Like, I get it, theatrical's hard, it's very expensive, marketing is very expensive, distribution is very expensive. It's all very hard and you're taking a big risk, but I do think streaming is a big risk as well, and I don't think that you'll always recoup your costs on either. But with theatrical, when it hits big, you can make a lot of money. So I just hope studios just start looking at that a little bit closer. Now for the part that I don't think they did well, and I'm sure you've guessed it, it's the most critiqued online. It's the AI CGI recreation of Rook. But I still think studios can learn from it. Everything looked so good in this movie, and then that looked so bad. Like, it's incredible that it looks that bad. Don't get me wrong, I know it's hard. These VFX people are not paid that much. They're heavily overworked, and it's really hard to do when the actor isn't alive. But man, it just took me out. Everything looked so good in that film, and then that was just a very big black eye. They got a lot of hate for using AI in this, which I think is totally justifiable. If you didn't know, they hired an actor to record the lines, then used Gen AI to make the voice sound more like the actual actor. and they still got hate for it. And I'm really glad about this because I feel like this is a slippery slope to more AI. I feel like more films will start using AI, and if we don't like shame them for it, they're just going to keep using it, and they're just going to keep on like giving these excuses like, oh, you know, he was dead, so we had to use AI. And then after that, it's going to be, oh, you know, it's just the background actor, so it's okay. And then it's going to be, oh, we didn't have the budget to hire actual people, so would you rather us use AI, or would you rather just not have a film? And I feel like it's just a bad trend for this industry. So I'm really glad that they actually got a lot of hate for it, because they put as many safeguards as possible just to use this technology, and they still got hated for it, right? They used an actor, no one lost work, they got permission from the family estate, the wife was completely cool with it, and they still got shit for it. People still didn't like it just because, one, it looked like shit, two, I'm sure it probably brought people out of the movie, and three, I just don't think it was necessary at all. For me, I would have preferred a completely different actor play the synthetic, and then later on in the movie we find out he has the same module, uploaded his memory into a cloud, and then it got downloaded into this synthetic, just because the moment we saw this guy, the moment we saw Rook, we were like, oh yeah, this guy is evil, evil is afoot. We were so ahead of the characters. The audience should never be that far ahead of the characters, in my opinion. And we were like 20 million steps ahead. And then when it came to reveal, it was supposed to be a surprise, and no one was surprised. Everyone knew about it. There was even a little musical cue when he was like, my name is Rook, and I was like, dun dun dun. And like, no shit, like we knew this guy was evil right from the get-go, right from seeing his face. So I don't even think it was good in the movie. It could have easily, like, they could have done something a little bit more creative. I'm not saying my idea was like perfect, but they could have stretched their imagination just a little bit more, not relied on this technology at all, really worked it into the script, see what other avenues or paths they could take, and then this black guy just wouldn't exist on this movie. So I do hope that studios learn that AI is generally pretty bad. CGI, bringing back actors, people are not okay with it, and this was like overall a great film, and I think people are always going to remember this one really bad part about it. So hopefully they learn. But even though they had some rough CGI, they also had some amazing practical effects that should be celebrated. Practical effects are coming back. I'm a huge fan of practical effects. I'm not a CGI hater at all. Like, don't get me wrong, it can look really bad when it looks bad, but there's so much like CGI in shots now that you don't even know. It looks pretty good most of the time, and yeah, sometimes it looks pretty bad, but I'm not a hater. I just really like practical effects. I think they look really great. Everything in this movie looked really great that was practical. Like the xenomorphs looked great, the face huggers were amazing. The city in the very beginning was my favorite part, which is weird that a city was my favorite part in this like horror sci-fi film, but that city looked great. I saw that that was all practical. And I also enjoyed that they kind of turned this into like a marketing stunt as well, showcasing the practical effects. They showed the xenomorph in BTS footage. They showed some of the face huggers like running across the ground in BTS footage. And just recently, I don't know the name of it, but that hybrid alien at the very end, that was practical. They just released the BTS footage of him just talking to the director.
It's a what?
It was so cool. I really hope studios look at this and see it not just as a way to make the film better, but use it as a way to market the film more and show people all the hard work and dedication that went into these films and how impressive it is. So that's what I really hope that studios learn from this. They start allowing people to use practical effects more. They start like encouraging it more, because it can work just as well for the movie as it does for the marketing and the release of it. I was also a really big fan of how they handled the casting of this. Like, all these actors were mostly no names. Isabella Merced was probably the biggest one, and she was a supporting character. She fell asleep in the movie. I actually really enjoyed that. I really loved that a lot of these actors, it was their first film roles for some of them. I'm excited that a studio is giving these people the opportunity to shine. And this cast smashed it. They did so well. No one was a weak link. It was amazing. David Johnson as Andy was great. Like the way his synthetic worked when he just like flipped a switch and everyone just kind of knew everything in his body language up to his voice. It was all, God, that was great. Callie, I don't really know how to say her name. I didn't look it up before this, but she's having a great run of the year. She was in Civil War. She did Priscilla right before this, and now she's in this. Like, they're all getting their dues, they're all getting their flowers. I love seeing it so much. I'm really glad the studio allowed these no-name cast members to star in these films. There were no A-list actors at all. They really took a chance on them. And granted, they have a really big IP to help with the marketing, right? To help get the word across, but they still took a risk. And I hope that studios learn from this, because studios recently have still been using a lot of big A-list talent, which I don't think always works out. I think it's a big risk. That is such like an 1980s and 1990s thing, and I don't think it's really crossed over in today's movie world. Don't get me wrong, it can work. It can really work for marketing. It can really work to draw people in, but it is a big risk. It's an expensive risk, and it doesn't always work out. I mean, look at this summer. We had The Fall Guy starring Ryan Gosling, and that dude co-starred in a billion-dollar movie just last summer, and no one went and saw The Fall Guy. Or even just before this, we have Kevin Hart in Borderlands. He's probably the biggest comedian right now, and he could not bring anyone in to see Borderlands. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot wrong with that film, and there's a lot of reasons why people didn't go see it. But I guarantee you, no one saw Kevin Hart was in that movie and was like, let's go see it, Kevin Hart is in it. So I don't think A-list actors are the absolute guarantee a film is going to do well, and I hope studios are learning that, and I hope they're going to be embracing these little small no-name actors and just hoping that they do it, hoping that they do a good job and market the film in some other type of way. Plus, do you understand how much money they're saving by not hiring these A-list actors? Like, if Sigourney Weaver was in this, it'd be easily $20 million more. So those are just a few things that I really liked about Alien Romulus that I really hope studios learn from it. And I hope we get better as an entertainment business. I really do. I hope we thrive. But I'm sure there's something that I missed, or there's something that you want more elaboration on. So drop a comment below. Tell me what you enjoyed about it. Tell me what you hope studios learn from this film. And thank you so much for coming. See you in the next one.